It's the solar video you've been waiting for.
We've been working on solar for a long time, and we're here to tell you all about it today. Stay tuned. Hey, and welcome back to Mountain Beaches. I'm Norm.
And I'm Kim.
And we're wanting to share with you our experience of doing our solar install. But first, maybe tell you what we did.
Oh my, oh my.
It's been a long project.
It has been a very long project, and that's partly because we had a big interruption.
We installed 1,200 watts of solar panels on our roof. That's 6 panels. And this whole project we did ourselves. We installed the panels on the roof, and
He did most of it.
And then we also did a solar charge controller, a 3,000 watt inverter, and 6 100 amp hour Battle Born batteries. That's our complete system, and we've been using it now for over a week off grid, and it is
We love it.
It's amazing.
Yep.
It's so amazing. We just are having such great success with it, even without lots of sun.
Right. Is there anything you don't like about it?
No,
There's nothing for me.
No, we have not run a generator once. Our battery, I think the lowest our battery has got, charge has gotten down to is 65%. It charges back up, it has charged back up to 100% every single night or every single day. It's just been fantastic. So,
yeah, the one thing that we had to be careful in the first campsite that we were at, as we were going down in, we had to stop multiple times and trim some tree branches to make sure that the solar panels didn't get scratched going in. So yeah, we had to adjust a little bit where we typically wouldn't have before, but that was fine.
Yeah, so not a problem at all. Today we're camped in a mostly shaded spot. Yesterday we were camped in a even more shaded spot. Hey, fish. First time I've seen a fish jump out in that lake.
Squirrel, fish.
Hey,
fishing, for Norm,
fishing's important.
For Norm, it's not squirrel, it's fish.
Yeah. We're on our summer adventure, and right now we're in McCall, Idaho, just outside of town at a free boondocking spot we found. Right on a little pond.
Yes, we are all by ourselves. It's just so fantastic.
Amazingly beautiful. So back to the solar. We run whatever it is we really want to run. Kim gets to use her hair dryer.
I do use my hair dryer every morning. Even if I don't take a full shower, you can get a washcloth, get your hair wet,
yeah,
and blow it dry, and it looks better than it would otherwise.
We do the coffee maker, both the coffee grinder and the coffee maker.
Yes.
We try not to do both of those, the hair dryer and the coffee maker at the same time, but we can do that. What else?
We use the microwave. Maybe I forget to take something out to get defrosted for dinner. I can just microwave it and get it ready to go.
We're not big on microwave cooking, although this is a microwave / convection, and we're learning that.
Yes, I'm going to use the convection today in order to make some cornbread to go along with that Instapot, which we used to make some dinner.
Chili.
So
the Instant Pot, we can run our TV, fireplace.
A big thing for me is my workstation. So my work has allowed me a project that I can work offline. So I don't even have to have internet all the time, but I can download my files and I can work offline. I have a computer monitor that makes it much easier instead of just my laptop. So I can have my laptop charged. I can plug in my monitor.
Yep. And you sit there and work, good 8 hours sometimes.
Yes.
So
yep.
that's been awesome. Oh, here's another thing that we do. After the sun is, charging our batteries really nicely, I switch the refrigerator over to electric mode.
Yes.
And run the refrigerator for 6-8 hours a day off electricity instead of propane. So we're saving propane, and we're still charging our batteries. So once we've got enough battery power, then the solar that we're generating just kind of goes to waste. So we generate that into the refrigerator, and we can run the refrigerator.
Yep.
We have a vacuum that's battery operated that gets recharged.
You know, we go to bed at night and we plug in our phones and our watches just like we would do at home.
Yeah.
It has been really, really, really nice. I have been surprised at how much I've enjoyed having all those amenities of home, along with being out in these beautiful, beautiful boondocking environments.
And never once running a generator.
That's been fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, we brought a generator just in case. I imagine, you know, maybe we get a spell of a lot of rainy days or something, and you know, we need to recharge. So that's a just in case, but so far.
And that might happen this weekend. It's supposed to get quite cold. It could even snow. So we could have some really cloudy, bad weather days. And so, you know, who knows?
We'll
we
see.
might have to use a generator for a little while. Hopefully not, but it'll be a good test.
Yeah, it's just there for backup purposes. So, all right, well, let's get into the nuts and bolts of the system, and I'm going to take you up to the front bay because that's where I installed all of the equipment. If you haven't seen our other solar install videos, this is number 3 in a 3-part series. The first one was the solar panel installation.
On the roof, yep.
Yep. And then the second one, we talked about how we wired those up in a series parallel combination. And now this one will kind of do a wrap up and show you the all the batteries, the inverter, the solar controller. That's all up in the front bay. It's where we chose to put things. So let's go check it out.
You're gonna love it.
Here we are at the front bay of our Grand Design Reflection 303 RLS. This is where I installed the major components. Let's start off with the batteries. The batteries over here are the Battle Born Lithium Batteries. They are 100 amp hours a piece, and we have 6 of them, 2 up front and then 4 across the back in a different orientation. And those are just all wired together. This is 4/aught cabling. This is one of the things I did wrong to begin with. I started off with 2/aught and wasn't quite enough, and so I had to redo all of this and went with 4/aught. Before I put the batteries in, though, I put a 3/4 inch plywood base across the bottom to give it some stability. The bottom of this bay was a steel, but it was a bit flimsy, and so you can see this plywood that I put in. I had to cut it in pieces to get it through the opening, and then I just screwed it together. And then I also put these 1-bys here to hold the batteries in place, and I put these ratchet tie down straps that you can see here across the top to hold the batteries from jumping around as we, there goes a motorcycle, as we tool down the highway or go across a washboard dirt road. So there's the batteries. They seem to ride really well in here. Now let's start over in this corner. Our trailer came equipped with a solar prep, and so it had wires coming down from the roof that we could plug into our charge controller. These 10 gauge wires, but I first ran it through an on-off switch. I can flip this switch, and that cuts off all power coming from the roof, from the batteries, to isolate or work on some of the components. So shut off switch right here. From there it goes into the MPP charge controller. We got a 150/100. That's what was recommended to us by Battle Born, and so we just went with their recommendation. This MPP charge controller has all the smarts in it. and it takes the power that's coming from the roof and it knows what the battery needs, and if the batteries are low, it'll give it everything it has. Once the batteries start to get to a full charge, I think around 95%, then it slows the charge down to more of a trickle charge. All of that intelligence is done inside the charge controller. These are the wires, the positive and neutral coming out of the charge controller that then feed the battery. We're going through a fuse here. This is a catastrophic fuse in case we get too much power coming through here. Rather than burn up the wires, we have a fuse that'll break. From here, this then goes over into a positive bus bar, which then continues on to another on-off switch. This on-off switch is controlling the power coming from the batteries. So if we want to turn off the battery power, we flip this switch. But the power from the solar panels is coming through and around and into the batteries. Again, we have another catastrophic fuse over here. This one's a 400 amp, I believe. The first one that I showed you was an 80 amp coming from the charge controller. That part of the setup in and of itself charges the batteries. The solar panels don't run anything at all. All they do is charge your batteries, and then when you want to run something, power comes from the batteries and is fed to either your 12 volt or your 110 if you have an inverter. So that's the next component I wanted to show you. We got the MultiPlus 3000, and that gives us 110 power throughout our coach. It'll take the 12 volt, it'll invert it into 110, and then so this is coming into the charge controller, and then these are going back out to our fuse box. So this is our inverter, but it also will charge the batteries if we're it's an inverter / charger. If we're connected to shore power, this will charge the batteries instead of our solar. This is a fantastic component. Victron is one of the leaders in inverters for RVs. We got the 3000 because that's what Battle Born spec'd out for us, and they felt like that was based on our needs. This is would be best for us. The 2000 is another option. It's a great option, but the price difference between the 2000 and the 3000 really isn't that much. So if I was on the fence between thinking of a 2000 or 3000 inverter, I'd go with the 3000 and just pay the extra, I don't know, $100, $150. It's not much. Some of the other components that we have in here. Up here is our shunt. This component is again comes from Victron, and this is what is used to measure and monitor everything. You see this small wire that's connected to the battery to give it some power. It has the negative from the battery coming to this, so all the negative sources are running through this, and that's how it tells what power you're using. And it has a data cable that's connected in there as well, and then that runs up to a monitor, and we can check and see what the status is of everything in our system that way. And it's fantastic. It works great. It's a very solid system, and now we've got a helicopter. Well, wait a moment. We're at this amazingly beautiful boondocking spot right on a little lake, but we're only minutes out of town. So that's kind of fun. We're just a few minutes outside of McCall, Idaho. Okay, so that pretty much in a nutshell is our system. It seems pretty simple now that I look at it. First thing I installed was the batteries. Next, I installed the MPPT charge controller and connected it to the solar power panels. Actually, the solar panels were what was installed very first. And then lastly, I installed the inverter, figured out how to hook all that up, and it just works. All right, we're back. I hope you got a little bit of information out of that overview. I'm not going to go into real complete detail, it's too much. So hopefully that helped you some to understand what we did.
I think it was just perfect.
So I think the number one question people are going to want to know is, what did it cost? And then the second question is, would you do it again?
So being at home and having him over at the warehouse working and working and working on this, and then coming home and saying, oh gads, this isn't working. I need to get a different size wire in order to make that work correctly. There was a lot of frustration during the install. There truly was.
Yeah, I had never done anything like this before. I learned from others on YouTube. I'm not afraid to take on a task that I haven't done before once I do my research, but it's a big job. It's a really big job and a huge learning curve, and I had to do things twice in some cases. One time I had to do something three times. But would I do it again? Absolutely, I would do it again. It took a lot longer than I ever expected, but the reason I would do it again, instead of hiring someone, because I felt confident in doing it, it's
okay to have to redo.
Yeah, I made some mistakes and I fixed and redid, but I know my system now. If I would have hired somebody to have it done, yeah, it might look a little prettier, but the components were still the same, and I wouldn't understand my system. And if I needed to do something to it, maintenance-wise, or change something or fix something down the road, I wouldn't know. And
he knows this whole thing.
I know this thing
inside and out.
Yeah. And I'm really glad I have that knowledge now. It's not absolute that you have to do it that way. That's just me. I would prefer to do it. We got a couple of different quotes to have it installed. One was about $3,400, and on the low end $1,500. But basically, I couldn't find someone that could do it in the time frame I wanted it done in. So
yeah,
that's why I jumped in.
And in our area.
Yeah, that's why I jumped in and did it. So yes, I'd do it again. What did it cost?
I don't even know.
Too much.
I don't know. Maybe we should put a spreadsheet or a final cost or something, but I don't even know. You probably have a better idea.
The Battle Born batteries are the most expensive component, and those things retail for $949 a piece. Battle Born gave us a little bit of a discount.
Yep.
We don't have a deal with them or a partnership or anything. We actually went to their facilities when we were driving through Reno back in January, maybe?
Long
February?
time ago, yep.
And they gave us a tour. They sat down with us. They're great to work with. They will help you and answer your questions for your solar, your entire system. They sell the Victron components, and we bought everything except the panels through them.
Yes.
So they gave us a discount, a little bit of a discount on the batteries, but they're still very expensive. And so that's the biggest cost. I don't have the final number, but I'm guessing we spent around $10,000, and I did the install myself. So.
But we have, for us, I feel like we have quite a robust system.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe you don't need to have all of those panels and all of those batteries. Maybe, you know, you can work with a little bit less. But for us, it's been really nice to always have the charge that we need.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with the system, the power plant we installed, I guess you might call it that. 1,200 watts up on the roof, And then we have 600 amp hours of batteries in 6 lithium batteries, and a 3,000 watt inverter, and the charge controller. It's a great system. We love it.
Yep, you get to look on your phone and say, you know, how are we doing as we're traveling along?
The little app that comes with the charge controller.
Yeah, what is it doing right now?
Let's look this up right here and now. It runs off of Bluetooth, and so right now it's connecting. Batteries are 100% charged, which reminds me I need to go switch the refrigerator over to electric. And we are generating, even though we're partly shaded right now, 773 watts of power, and our batteries are charged, so why not use that
in our refrigerator?
Yeah, to our refrigerator.
Get busy.
Yep. So if you have any questions at all, put them below and I'll do my best to answer them. Remember, I'm not an expert. I'm not an electrician. This is the first time I've done it. I'll try my best to answer your questions or point you in the direction of where you can find some information. I watched dozens and dozens of YouTube videos
oh my gosh,
to kind of figure this out. So to all those who went before me,
thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. There's too many to list right now.
But yeah, maybe you can put some of those down below.
Yeah, one that I can think of right now is Jared of I'll put his YouTube channel right here because I can't think of it right now, but he's amazing.
Yep, he was very useful. And just the hours that Norm put in watching YouTube videos, I can't even estimate. And you would take pictures of the diagrams that they were using, and you know, it was a huge prep and learning process. So yep, you did good, hun. You did great.
Well, thanks. Thanks for joining us this week. If you haven't watched the other 2 videos in the series, we'll put a link to those below, but also let's see, I think it's up in, I don't remember, this corner maybe. We'll put a link up in the corner that you can click on, and it'll take you to the playlist for that.
But remember to follow us, like us, ring that bell, all those things that we try to not tell you to do too often, because it really makes a difference for us.
It helps us tremendously, and it helps you to know when we release a new video, which we try to do every Friday, 5 o'clock Mountain.
We don't promise it.
No, we don't promise, because we're not good at keeping that promise. So sometimes we release it earlier, sometimes later, and occasionally we miss a week, but we're having fun.
We are.
We'll see you next week.